everyone, welcome to Tumtum World's first ever video. Today I'll be sharing with you 5 video games with some heartwarming, sometimes unexpected lesbian slash sapphic slash women-loving women representation. I'm super excited to share these games because they're not just fun, but they tell stories that resonate with a lot of us, but also gives a spotlight to an underrepresented group in society. I've lined up 5 amazing titles that truly stand out, each with its own charm. And trust me, whether you're in it for the romance, for the mystery, or just some good old-fashioned gameplay, there's gonna be something for each and every one of you. So let's get started! The first game that I want to talk about is This Bed We Made. This Bed We Made is a narrative mystery game set in the 1950s where you play as Sophie, a maid at the upscale Clarington Hotel. As you clean every single room in this hotel, you discover that every single guest has their own secrets, so you need to snoop through their belongings to figure out the truth of a big mystery in this hotel. When I first got the game, I didn't know at all that it was going to have lesbian representation, but it ended up being something that was brought up quite a lot throughout the whole game. In this game, you meet Beth, who is the street smart and charismatic receptionist at this hotel, and also Andrew, who is the book smart and well-mannered concierge. You can recruit one of these two characters to become your acolyte, which I didn't know the meaning of until I googled it, and apparently according to Google, an acolyte is just someone who helps you throughout your journey, so sort of like your ally. And based on your interactions with either Beth or Andrew, you can form a strong friendship with them or start a romantic relationship. One cool thing that I really like about This Bed We Made is because it's set in the 1950s, it doesn't really shy away from discussing how hard it was for queer people back then. So it's a unique angle that you don't really see brought up a lot in other games. So it just adds a lot of depth to it. The second game that I want to talk about is Song of Farka, which I also didn't know was going to be sapphic when I first got it. In Song of Farka, you play as Isabella Song, a female hacker that is currently on house arrest, and you get hired by a bunch of different clients to solve cases. So sort of cases like a missing pet or a dead relative or other cases like that. Since you're on house arrest, you solve all of these cases from the comfort of your own home. The gameplay is similar to Orwell, where basically you just gather a lot of documents and information and you analyze them to solve cases. One unique thing about Song of Farka is just how the game looks. Throughout the entire game, your screen is split into 2 different screens. So the screen on the top is showing Isabella in her apartment, and then the screen on the bottom is showing her computer. When I first booted up the game, I was immediately surprised as I don't think I've played anything like that before. You can only move your cursor in the bottom of the screen, and you can't move your cursor unless Isabella is on her computer. And you cannot control Isabella's movements in her apartment on the top of the screen. So while she's not on her computer and you're not able to move the cursor, you're seeing her life play out on the screen on the top. That's where the lesbian romance comes in. I don't want to spoil anything, so that's all I can say. The next game that I want to talk about is called Lake. Lake is set in 1986, where you play as Meredith, who is taking a break from her fast-paced city life to deliver mail in her quiet hometown of Providence Oaks. Over the course of 2 weeks, you'll play as Meredith delivering mail to a bunch of quirky characters around this town. This relaxing gameplay allows you to experience the charm of small town life, making choices that will affect Meredith's future. There are 2 romantic options in this game. The first person is Robert, which is a manly man who you first encounter when you're delivering mail to him. And then the second is Angie, who is a bold woman who runs the local video store in Providence Oaks. She does love to chat about her favorite quirky films, so if you're able to introduce some new movies to the town, she might just take you out on a date. Since the game is set in 1986 and in a small town, it perfectly captures the challenges of being queer in a small town during that time. So it involves a lot of challenges, like having a bunch of people trying to set you up with men, or just a bunch of like unwanted flirtations, but it's not really something you can't just decline. So yeah, the tone still remains light and upbeat, so it's perfect if you're looking for something cozy and relaxing. The fourth game that I want to talk about is called A New Life. Here I'm only mentioning A New Life, but I really do recommend every single other of Angela Hayes' works because most of them are sapphic, but not only are they sapphic, the art style is so pretty. Like, I'm genuinely so in love with all of her work. I recommend Missed Messages and There's This Girl in particular, as they're both gay, both beautiful, and both available for free. A New Life is a slice of life, bittersweet game that tells the story of a lesbian couple all the way from when they first met to the day their love story ends. Depending on the choices you make, you will get one of, I think, 7 endings. And it is quite a short game, so you'll be able to finish a few playthroughs in one sitting. But I think that's how it was meant to be experienced, because you're supposed to like experience all the different alternatives to how their love story might go. It is very heartwarming and very cheap on Steam, so I really do recommend this one. The next and last game is called Haven. Haven is a story that focuses on the two characters Yu and Kei, who have both ditched an authoritarian society called the Apiary, who is notorious for forcing people into arranged marriages. So Yu and Kei decided to break free and forge their own path. They escaped to a mysterious place called the Source, which is full of the unknown. As they explore this new world, they gather resources to survive and also face off against creatures who aren't too welcoming. In this game, you can choose the sex of your Yu and Kei, whether it is 2 men, 2 women, or a woman and a man. But since the main theme of this game is basically being free to love who you want, the same-sex Yu and Kei makes a lot of sense. The game puts a strong emphasis on the relationship between Yu and Kei, because you progress and level up by deepening your bond and boosting each other's confidence. Also, there's a significant element of domestic life as well, as you do have like several like scenes happening in your crash ship, so it adds a touch of everyday life to the whole adventure. And yeah, that wraps up our journey of the lesbian games that I recommend. Thank you so much for watching my first ever video, and I hope you managed to find some games to play and maybe you saw a bit of yourself reflected in these stories. I think it is so important that everyone has a chance to see themselves as the hero, as the love interest, or just a part of everyday life in games. So yeah, that's why I recommend these games. If you have any more games to recommend, please drop a comment down below because I would love to play more sapphic games. You can also subscribe to me if you like this video, as I am planning on making more of these recommendation videos in the future. Thank you, bye bye!